We are coming into this with our eyes open.
Right.
The onus is on Hamas and the other terrorist groups in Gaza.
As Palestinians, including Hamas and Islamic Jihad, committed to that unless the Israelis did not violate that. We hope that they will not violate the ceasefire this time.
Well, we will hope that. By the way, the last person you saw, the spokesman for Hamas, do Google his very interesting exchange with Wolf Blitzer about he's stating in Arabic that, of course, Jews used to kill Christians to mix their blood to make matzah. Still do it. It's absolutely tasty. Israel and Gaza, a truce, but there's now terrorism in Israel itself. Now, Grant Rumsley is a research analyst specializing in Palestinian politics and the Levant at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. He joins us now from Washington. Forgive my cynicism, but a truce, a truce, a truce. If it does hold, surely it's just a hiatus before more conflict.
Well, right now they're trying to talk, especially in Cairo, about a longer-term ceasefire, a quiet-for-quiet policy. The Palestinian under Mahmoud Abbas has convened a number of factions, including Islamic Jihad and Hamas, and they are said to have agreed to the 72-hour ceasefire and to be open for the possibility of more. I think right now that's in everybody's best interest to try to negotiate a longer-term truce here.
But what does that mean? When we think historically, I mean, we're talking right now about the anniversary of the First World War, and there were people who had certain ambitions and aspirations, and they could be dealt with. It took a very long time, but the aspiration of Hamas, which is becoming increasingly dominant within all of Palestine, is the elimination of the Jewish state. Well, that cannot be reconciled with any aspirations of the Israeli people and government. So how can there be any sort of dialogue?
Well, what you can do is try to empower the people that can push Hamas out. And I think you see Israeli and Egyptian officials talking about that. One of the plans on the table now is to find a way to put Palestinian Authority troops and soldiers on the border in Rafah in Gaza, give them a foothold in Gaza, have them work with Egypt, and eventually find a way to sort of force Hamas to the margins.
This is a very interesting point because I think this is what they will do. And for those who aren't following this, there is a division within Palestinian society. And if Fatah or the allied groups in the PA could have troops in Gaza, it might destabilize Hamas. But you know this better than I do. There most certainly will be armed conflict. And there are people around, such as Iran, who wouldn't want Hamas to lose that civil war, if you like.
Well, about a month ago, we saw a unity government come up where Hamas was even open to the idea of the PA putting some troops on the border to sort of monitor the exchange between Rafah, between Egypt and them. Hamas was weak politically before this whole situation developed. Afterwards, as long as they survive, they can claim that they won, in a sense here. They stood up to Israel. They've done a little bit more than Abbas has. And I think what you're seeing now is Abbas sort of make a concerted effort to get out in front of it, to restore it, reclaim his title as the leader of the Palestinian people. You saw them, he sent his foreign minister to the ICC earlier today. They're talking about joining there and taking Israel to task. I think Hamas is going to come out of this politically ahead of the game, and I think you're going to see multiple parties, including Egypt and Israel and the Palestinian Authority, try to push them back down into a position in the margins. Okay.
I mean, the whole thing has been brutal, but the positives, Saudi Arabia and Egypt obviously do want something peaceful to occur. A lot of other Arab countries in North Africa as well want some sort of solution. Turkey, Iran, Qatar are problematic. What happens with those three countries in particular?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is sort of multiple axes develop in the Middle East. You have Israel, the PA, Egypt, Saudi Arabia in one, which wouldn't normally have been bedfellows a couple of years ago, even a couple of months ago. And then you're seeing Turkey, Qatar, Iran, Hamas on one. Now, John Kerry certainly didn't make the situation any better when he sort of vacillated between the two groups. But you've got to find a way here to empower one axis and discredit the other. And I think Qatar and Turkey have open connections with Hamas. They've been openly supportive. They send monies. They house Hamas officials in Doha. That's where Khaled Michel is based. And so I think what you've got to do is find a way to sort of isolate and push out these other actors that are supporting Hamas, cut off their lifeline, and then you found a way to sort of isolate the group and weaken them.
Not easy doing that with Qatar. I mean, it owns what now? Barclays Bank in the UK, major stores, soccer teams. I mean, it's very wealthy. And one thing to do this with Iran, even perhaps with Turkey, but You're far more optimistic than I am, and I hope and pray you're right, because this does make me feel a bit better about the situation. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for having me.